Okay, and then I have to toggle over to this other browser, and it shows us as live.
Yay.
There we are. Hi, Julie. Julie's in there with us. And Jess and EG and Julie again. Hello. Hello, Rich. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes here for some people to come in. As you see, I'm sort of working on my doodle. I don't know how much I'll get done because I'm the only one doodling.
That's okay. I'm kind of doodling on the side as well. I just don't have my camera set up.
Yeah.
I had a relatively difficult pain morning, so I am not in my usual place, but that's okay.
Yes, Julie, my bubbles. I've been working on this one for, well, a while. It's vexing me. I'm just glad I didn't do a bunch of little bubbles. Oh my goodness. Hey, Mama. Hey, Laura.
I'll just get mugged into the Substack chat. Hello, everybody.
Okay, so we got people coming in now. If you want to hit those hearts and give us a share, that'll help out. And just keep engaging in the chats. Hello, Aster. That's a new name. I haven't seen you before. Welcome. Everybody want to, body doubling of sorts. Tell us where you're from. Where you're coming in from. Oh no, we're competing with Joy and Glenn.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Rough spot.
Yeah, it is. I don't like competing with either one of them. No. Ecuador, awesome.
Yeah.
We'll call it Florida, right? We know Mama's from the UK.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know me, I am coming to you from Vancouver Island in BC, Canada.
Just north of me. Well, got a state in between, but
yes.
Yeah, Julie's close to me, about, I don't know, 15-minute drive from me.
Oh, cool.
We both live.
Not quite Portland.
Yeah, that's not fun. Quite Portland. About at the mouth of the Columbia River Gorge.
Oh, beautiful area.
But it's not on fire. It hasn't been since 2017, so.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've been down that way, but.
Yes, EG, Emotional Support Canadian. Do you know what that is?
Jay? I do. I actually have a mug that Beth Cruz awesome. Created that I'm part of the Cobra division, the
Cobra Chicken division.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's one of my favorite mugs now. Yes, well, I can see the U.S. from, actually, no, there's an island away from where I'm sitting, but from my balcony, I can see.
Well, you can probably see it more than Sarah Palin could see Russia from her.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about we get started? We're about 6 minutes after the hour.
Great.
The day. Oh, this is Jai C. Porter. Jay.
Yeah.
My head always goes to Jai because I think of chai tea. Which is one of the few I actually like. Anyways, this is Jay C. Porter. We met through probably I've seen you in lots of different live stream chats.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, we decided to do a live stream here. It's not, it can be body doubling, but we're going to talk about rejection sensitivity dysphoria, just a mouthful. But I'll go ahead and let you explain that.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So there is I suppose what they categorize now as a symptom. It's not really recognized fully yet as like any sort of diagnostic criteria or anything. But it is it's a disproportionate fear of rejection. Like it shows up as like a neurological failure to maintain emotional stability a lot of the times when you perceive rejection. And perceived rejection is treated the same in your body as the act of actual rejection. It can be a situation like I explained in my most recent article about this, where there is something that you're scared of doing and you do it, and then you're, you go into a spiral. You freak out. You don't know what to do. And this is experienced across a lot of neurodivergent types and severities. And it can be quite debilitating. Mine in particular is pretty extreme. And so I thought that I would bring it up because I don't think it's talked about very often, and it can be very embarrassing and extremely difficult to get past for some people. It can stunt your career. It can affect your personal relationships. It could be difficult to integrate into communities and hobbies and all kinds of things. And not necessarily because of the people around you, but because of that feeling. The reaction as you're going through any sort of therapy or anything can be mitigated and improved if you learn to find that pause between your perception and the reaction that you have.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I know it's something I experienced, and it was something I somewhat figured out on my own before I learned the word for it. Like, I knew I could recognize a pattern anyways. And I could also recognize that sometimes the rejection was only perceived and not real. And I would just have to write it out, which was hard to do. And it's still really hard to do. I have better coping mechanisms now. But, can you talk a little bit about how that might affect relationships and ways you have coped with it?
Sure. Yeah, it can put a very big doubt on one side of the relationship about how reliable someone is, maybe even make people feel a little overwhelmed with their own fear of your reactions. But it can also be really difficult for the person suffering with it because they are constantly waiting for themselves to explode or for, one of these things to come up. It ends up, being difficult to communicate. And I think that when, at least in my practice, that's what I see the most often is there's such a miscommunication about the feeling and everything. Like I experience it like physical pain. Sometimes it's a very panic response, and I've seen others with the same, and it's very difficult then to put yourself out there, to form new friendships, to not just discount relationships you could be having, because the smaller your circle is or the more reliable your circle is, the less chance there is for that perceived rejection.
Yeah. I wrecked a lot of friendships before I figured mine out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mama. I got complimented for my bubble work.
Yes. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. I never realized until I just started doing this stuff more regularly how grounding it is. Even meditative, even.
Yeah. I actually have a funny personal story about that. I've been struggling in my full-time job to, I would say, ever since perimenopause kind of like hit, I've been struggling because I used to be, even though socially, I kind of had this struggle with rejection sensitivity and other things, you know. I was always really smart and I could do tons of analysis and calculations and come up with things that were really, you know, outside the box. And so I had a really great trajectory, and I actually went into one of my surgeries and came out of it and just never got over like the mental fog, and now I'm just confused all the time and feels like I can't do my job very well. So that, you know, it makes it a little difficult.
Yeah.
Is it possible to explain what RSD is? Like as far as like biologically, like what's going on in your body?
That would be great. I can only explain it from like an emotional level, kind of how it wrecks me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the biggest reasons that it's not really looked at, I mean, I wouldn't say seriously in quotes, but like it's not that it's not seriously, there's just not a ton of research done on it. So unfortunately, the way our collective systems work is we don't necessarily want to include that in something that's not proven. So for diagnostic reasons and whatever. The actual biology of it and the brain stuff is very, very interesting, but I will admit that I am not like prepared today to like talk that smartly about anything. My brain's a little messed up, but yeah. You know what? The question about if it's separate from trauma is a really good one, because they find that a lot of people that have a traumatic background, so in other words, I don't know, I study trauma-informed practice, and it's one of the main things that I use in my own clinic, even though I also am trained in DBT and like a few other things, mindfulness and whatnot. But that trauma that you get just from being neurodivergent and like not knowing too is definitely something that they look at with this. And you have to have experienced some level of threatening rejection at some point in your life, but not from what others tell you, from internally. So, you know, and it could go back before you even remember. And that it becomes like a base work for the way your body responds to that. So.
Sorry, I forgot to do a disclaimer, so I'm typing something in real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for me, there is like a body thing to it, right? Kind of like the pain of grief almost.
Exactly.
And it's like really intense. I have to really, like Mama was saying earlier about DBT, and you know, do the facts match the feelings? But even when the facts don't match the feelings are still there, and you got to do something with that. And a lot of times I feel like I'm just going to explode, and I used to just do some of the worst things to try to make that feeling go away, including self-harm, which it's been a couple decades since, in case anybody's worried.
Yeah, and I'll just say out loud too, just a little disclaimer. I am a registered therapeutic counselor, but everything that I'm saying in this live is not coming from this lens necessarily. It's more coming from my education. So if you actually need help or need to talk with a therapist about this, I encourage you to reach out or contact your emergency services if it's serious. I am licensed in Canada, or I guess licensed is the wrong word. I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression. I'm designated in Canada. We're going through legislation right now to be licensed, like throughout BC at least, and they have recently been licensed in Alberta, and so they're basically I'm not allowed to take on clients from outside of Canada. So just letting you know.
Makes sense. Is there a hotline for Canada?
Same.
It's also 988?
It's 988, yes, as well.
Okay.
Had to do that research a lot of times, yeah.
I don't know what it is in the UK.
Yeah, I don't either.
Mama says 100% agree. The feelings are overwhelming, but yes, self-harm, promiscuity, alcohol and drug abuse, overeating, all the things. Exactly. Yeah. It can get self-destructive pretty quick.
Absolutely. There's also a lot of isolation that people do, and I know that people don't typically think of that as self-harm, but it can be, especially when it's extreme. Anything really that will keep you from having to feel or deal with that type of scenario can really creep up on you, and it can get kind of out of control and scary. It's not.
I do sometimes isolate, just because I also struggle with dysregulation sometimes, and there are times that I know I'm just not going to be able to control it well enough, and I just be by myself for a little bit. Not for periods of time, but just enough to get over the the hurricane part, I guess.
Well, and being alone, there's nothing wrong with being alone. I think that's different than isolation. I think that if you're in a position where you are avoiding things that are with other people, even though you used to like doing that, or if you want to do it, I think that's where we get a little bit.
Okay, we have a question here. I'm going to go ahead and show it on the screen as well.
Confirmation bias that neurodivergent person is automatically in need of therapy regardless. That is a very interesting question, and I've never looked at it that way. I mean, just in my own opinion, I would probably say that there's no cure for it, so it wouldn't necessarily be a trigger to why people would be in need of therapy, but having it would show who is using the coping strategies and who isn't, I guess. However, I feel like I can be as educated as anything, but because of my own situation, I don't ever really get over it. I continue to experience it. So, and I'm in therapy. That's a requirement of my designation. So I'm in a lot of therapy, supervision and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to ponder that more, because I think that's a really fascinating way to look at it.
Yeah, I am a big proponent of therapy if the therapist is a good fit. Sometimes it takes a minute. I've gone therapist shopping before, and sometimes I found a good fit right away, and sometimes it took me a minute, but it was really worth finding a minimal good fit, because if it's not a good fit, the therapy is not going to be very productive.
Yes.
And I don't currently have a therapist right now. Getting one from the VA is tough. They're very overworked, kind of like a DA. Caseloads are much too big. And I eventually got to a point where I got through so many personal crises without my therapist that I was just like, okay, I must not be in that much in need of it anymore. It would be nice to have, to check in once a month, but there are other people that need it more than I do. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't. I'm just waiting until I have better resources. But I agree with everybody should have a therapist, just like we have a primary care provider. Even other therapists should have a therapist.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think that regardless of whether you pay for therapy or you don't feel like you need it, like you just need a support system, and however that looks for you. I know some people are very turned off by like one-on-one therapy, but even like unstructured group therapy or different types of creative pursuits that let you explore your feelings and a different perspective. I think that it can be done a lot of different ways. I mean, obviously, there are people in need of actual therapy and actual interventions in places, but it is definitely more and more apparent that we need intentional support from the people around us, Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of us do. I don't know very many neurodivergent people who don't. We exist, or neurodivergents without it do exist.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've also known people with a lot of trauma who weren't otherwise neurodivergent who experience it. And it can be, I've been on the receiving end of it too. And it can be tough, especially when someone starts projecting or gets accusational. I have a better idea of when it's happening now, but I don't always recognize it being on the receiving end. What would it look like being on the receiving end, do you think?
When I've experienced it on the receiving end, it's, for me at least, it's been confusing and then kind of like a little bit frustrating because all of a sudden you're getting a reaction that doesn't match with your reality. And it's the same on the other side, right? Like, so whether you're experiencing it or you're receiving it, it's this just disproportionate reaction to the reality of the situation. And that could just mean a miscommunication. An email that was worded a little more pointed than normal, or somebody misinterprets what you're saying, And so I feel like before I recognized it in myself, I recognized it in other people. But that's kind of my process with things. And then it was like, wait a minute, like this is a little bit of a transference thing. Like I'm seeing it and I'm saying, look at what this person is doing and how they can be helped. And then, oh, wait a minute. Not me,
Yeah, I recognized it in myself before other people. More likely to recognize it in myself than other people. It's not necessarily lacking empathy so much as I'm shit at reading other people. I don't like to make assumptions. One thing I've learned to do for myself, particularly if I'm feeling that RSD kind of episode, is that, well, if it's really nuanced and not explicit, I'll either wait for it to be explicit, because just asking, are you mad at me, or something like that can get someone pretty upset, I've learned.
Yes.
I don't know how many people have heard of, what's her name, Elise Myers. She got really popular during the lockdown part of the pandemic. And the first video I saw of her, she was saying, look, nobody's mad at you. Nobody's mad at you. Okay. It's okay. And if they are mad at you, they'll tell you. And if they don't, it was something about, they're being their problem, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. And so, because if I'm upset with someone, even if I can't tell them right away, I will eventually tell them, like, hey, this upset me. This action, this what was said, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Unless I don't really know them very well, don't have a connection with them, and then I'll just kind of like, whatever. But if I don't have that kind of connection, then I don't feel that RSD so much. It's people close to me. So I'll write it out, and most people I know are pretty direct and explicit, especially if they know me well. So if they don't tell me how I feel, or no, how they feel, I can't do anything about it. And I have stopped being willing to try and do the mental labor of trying to analyze and read into and ruminate a situation when it may or may not even exist in the first place.
That's a really great place to be, like, and absolutely the healthy place for you, it sounds like. It really does. Yeah. I would say, in my own experience, part of my neurodivergence is being oversharey. I have to be pretty restrained not to just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. But I also hold a very firm belief that if I am not authentically myself, that those with neurodivergence or mental health issues or physical issues who don't feel comfortable speaking up, or maybe are new to a diagnosis or whatever, that they're never going to feel like it's normal to be themselves if they don't see somebody else just being entirely out there.
Yeah.
And, I am, when I was growing up, it was very much like I was the know-it-all teacher's pet, I staked a lot on my intelligence and all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of, I don't know, you learn that it's not always what it seems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not always what it seems.
I get in a lot less social trouble now that I've learned these things and learned how to deal with these things a little bit better. And I think for the rest of my life, I'll just always continue to learn, right? Because if we're not trying to do better every day, then why not? Why?
Exactly. So, the way I usually deal with my rejection sensitivity dysphoria is I tell people. Like, if I feel uncomfortable with something, I usually will go to them and I will be like, I'm neurodivergent. This is something I experience. I'm feeling like maybe I'm feeling like you hate me, or I'm feeling like you're mad at me, or whatever. This can be like an annoying message to get, especially if it's like to a colleague, but I just want to make sure we don't have a misunderstanding. And usually the reaction that I get is between, no, we're good, which, also takes a little bit of, because it's like, wait a minute, no, explain to me exactly how you're feeling. To, oh my gosh, that's what this is. Like, I've experienced this too, or some other kind of like camaraderie. So, I want to catch up with the chat a little bit though, because you guys are fantastic over here talking about it.
Yes. E.g., I was just about to post something that I can't do every comment because it's, why did I get no, I can't. That would be bad. I can't.
With the cultural factors?
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that cultural factors absolutely play into it. But I think that gets deeper than that. I think, all socioeconomic factors probably play into it. Women do it more because we're taught, most of our lives to, be apologetic for taking up space. There are people that live in poverty that may have experienced or a higher percentage of trauma through their lives that may automatically need to be defensive for things. And, there's a myriad of ways we see all over the news and all over the internet about reasons why where we come from is an important factor,
So I lived in China for a couple of years, right? And one thing that I really struggle with are social nuances, especially things like deference. And before I went, I was studying up a lot about indirect communication and cultural communication in China, because I knew I was going to screw up anyways, right? But I wanted to screw up less. Well, that information was a bit outdated or something, because when I got there, people were a lot more direct, and there wasn't quite as much deference and whatnot as I thought there might be. And I remember spending, especially since my boss was really rude, he was pretty insensitive and sometimes insolent. Someone might peg him for narcissistic, but I don't know, even though he was a little bit more than the norm there, was kind of the norm there. Anyways, I initially spent every day taking crying breaks because I was trying so hard to do these things that I thought I needed to do. And I did not get to, it wasn't working out, and I was going through culture shock. And eventually I just was like, okay, I don't give a shit if I get fired. I am not taking this anymore. And so I started being what my colleague and I coined it as being a shithead. I started being a shithead back to him. And then after that, everything was fine. It was like I just kind of matched his energy and was direct right back instead of trying to be polite and all deference and stuff. Yeah. And that's when I really started getting listened to. And that boss even later helped me out with things and advocated for me and stuff. So I forgot where I was going with that, but I did experience quite a lot of rejection sensitivity there.
Yeah, it sounds like it, because when we don't understand, the situation as well. I mean, the cultural difference between somewhere like China and the U.S. is quite a big one, and we're taught that, right? So walking into the situation, there's already that pressure that there could be rejection, or maybe that there's definitely going to be rejection, So, I mean,
yeah, I want to clarify what Chris Resist is saying. Or asking about. It's not necessarily expectation is to be shitty right back. But if you're just being direct, I mean, you don't have to be mean, right? It's not the same thing. My supervisor sometimes was, because he had a temper. But you don't have to be ultra polite. In fact, quite often that doesn't really work when you're dealing with sort of a conflict. You're not losing face or taking anybody's face if you just hey, I have this problem. Or in Forrest's case, there was one time I was asking him, I was meeting him downtown. The thing is, being in China was also kind of being a minor. There were certain things that I wasn't allowed to do as a foreigner without my boss. Or wasn't even able to do, even if I legally could. So, just because I didn't know the language enough. And he was meeting me downtown somewhere, and I was sending him a message on WeChat, asking him how I get there, right? Because I meant directions. And he said, walk. And I just snipped back and said, right, I just thought I would fly. And then I followed it up with, I mean, can you give me some directions? what is bye? I don't know where you are. And then he answered me. And there was no tension between us after that. It was just, sometimes he could be a smart ass.
Yeah.
And that's when I just kind of started giving it back. Does that make better sense, Chris? Get back over.
Well, and it is true. I think that sometimes as neurodivergent people, we have a hard time reading social situations, and it is a tactic to match somebody's energy. I mean, even for for neurotypical people, there's lots of stuff if you go on LinkedIn and like basically advice about that. But I think that sometimes it takes us longer to get to that point that this is the type of person that needs the brevity or needs the pushback or but especially when you experience rejection sensitivity, dysphoria, you don't necessarily, like, it feels like a threat to do that, to match, to be, like you said, kind of a shithead or an asshole or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I agree, Chris, that Chris is saying the conflict avoidance does a lot more harm than good. And I think there is a fair amount of people that are doing it because they're trying to be nice, but I think there's also a fair amount of people that are doing it because they're trying to avoid personal pain. Like, I mean, I'm not saying everyone that avoids conflict is going to have rejection sensitivity. That's like totally not a thing. But what I'm saying is that there's a number of people within that group of conflict avoidance people that are doing it because they are having what I call it, anticipatory anxiety. I'm sure that's like a thing, but like I probably just like made the word too long or something. But I've been calling it that for 10 years or something. It's kind of, and it applies in this situation, but a lot of other anxiety situations, I'm learning more right now about energy, like projecting something taking too much energy and not necessarily starting it because I'm scared of depleting, that kind of energy. Or maybe I think it's going to be way harder than it's going to be. Some people equate that with time blindness, and I absolutely have the worst time blindness ever. But yeah, it can be like multifaceted, but it does fall a lot within the neurodivergent kind of tent that people have conflict issues, whether that be conflict seeking or conflict avoidance.
Yeah, I was married to someone who was conflict seeking, and at the time I was more conflict avoidant. That did not go well.
Oh yeah, that mismatch that's a hard one. I mean, I think also well, and I don't know, maybe it's controversial, maybe it's not, but I think as a society, we tend to ostracize people for certain things. And I think that the internet and technology has kind of accelerated this anxiety and this fear, because it feels like sometimes to some people that if you step out of line here, or if maybe you don't get the job or don't have the exact morals that I do, or the exact, I don't even know, ideas about stuff, that you are somehow bad, evil, not good, not, and so I think that also plays a lot into how many people now are realizing that this is something they're experiencing, because it's not just, I go to work and then I get rejected at work, but I come home and I have a home and I have all these things. It's kind of like the more insecure society gets, the more harmful rejection seems,
True. Though I think I started doing a lot better before my last series of therapists. It's like 2 therapists, but when I was in grad school. And I didn't even realize it was happening at the time, but before, it was during grad school, I had some kind of shift, and I wanted to hang out with people more, but I had also gone through a couple of years where I was bedridden a lot because I'd ruptured discs, and went more than a year without any kind of, well, I had imaging, but not the right kind. When it first happened, they gave me an X-ray. Nothing showed up in the X-ray, and I don't remember whether there was a CT or not. I was in a lot of pain and on a lot of drugs then. But later, like a year and a month later, I finally got the MRI. And at that point, the discs were too desiccated, inoperable. And it still took more than a year for a lot of that pain to settle. I've got a lot of bone spurs now. So I'm in pain a lot of days, but it's not like it was. I would be in bed otherwise. I'm probably taking all the kratom I could. Once I didn't need, I was on opioid painkillers before. Once I didn't need them anymore, I stopped taking them. But anyways, I experienced a lot of isolation because people who I thought were my friends weren't really around anymore. Like, my list of friends just vanished almost completely overnight. Not entirely, but it shrank a lot. And the friends that were still in contact with me didn't live close by. And so I got fairly lonely. But then in grad school, a lot of times I was just really busy with work and whatnot, but I did enjoy the program and the faculty and my classmates. And I realized at one point that I didn't mind being, not only did I not mind being alone, but I actually liked my own company. When my partner at the time wanted to study alone and, didn't want to study with me. And I was like, oh, all right. And I was a little disappointed, but I went off and did the thing. And I did the thing, that did my studying, took my own breaks and whatnot, when I realized, holy shit, I like my own company. This is amazing. And after that, people had a lot less power over me socially. I was harder to manipulate. I was, harder to leverage in terms of, oh my God, I might lose this friendship, or even rejection at that point got to be a little bit less. It's still intense, but
yeah. Wow. Oh, it sounds so rough with your pain and your back, but it does sound like the silver lining was that you kind of figured out, where you fell in your priorities, with those things. I mean, I think that it's always a great realization when we find a way to like being with ourselves. And that's very recent for me, very, very recent. But yeah, I think that it sounds like now, though, like what you've been talking about, they have a pretty healthy idea of what you need and what you need to do in order to, be striving to the person you want to be. You know what I mean? None of us are ever perfect about anything. And I'm learning, the older I get, nothing happens in a linear fashion. But, it sounds, though, like you've got a lot of good tools that you've really invested with yourself in, which that's a lot of hard work, to get to that point, to take that pause, or to reaffirm that, hey, I'm cool and I like being by myself. It doesn't matter. As long as people are treating me well, I like them around. If they're not, then they're gone. Like, that's a lot of people work a really long time to get to that.
I wanted to ask EG for clarification. It reminds me of the concept of approach avoidance conflict. And I think that's on something we were talking about earlier, about conflict avoidance or seeking. Can we get clarification on that?
Yeah. Like, I've never heard of that approach avoidance conflict, like that term together. But I mean, as individual words, I mean, yeah, it seems like it would be very similar to that for sure. Yes, neuro is cool, Julissa. I agree.
Thank you. Mama says, this discussion is honestly one of the most helpful I've seen in a long time. Oh, thank you, Mama.
Thank you, Mama.
I do want to reiterate, in case there are any newcomers and for people watching the recording later, that this is informational only, not for therapy. And if you have a crisis, call 988 or text.
Yeah.
Approach avoidance, conflict, and psychology. Okay, that's what EG means. Approach avoidance, conflict, and psychology.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I'm so rusty on my original foundational stuff because I've been packing my brain with so many other things. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna look that up. I actually, you'll see, I have got. I'll show you guys. I was gonna sketch, but instead I've taken notes because you know what? I never really go anywhere without some way to take notes because, gosh, I just learn so much from other people.
I didn't see the notes. I just, for some reason, my this happens a lot. My Substack froze. It's on a different browser.
Yes.
The chat's still going though, so I'm just going with it. Can you show me again? Oh, cool. Yeah, I also doodle when I take notes. I like your doodling.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been doing that like my whole life. Just kind of doodling in the corners and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. It's actually hilarious because I recently started going through career counseling. And I took one of those like standardized tests, which is so hard for me. And I don't know if this happens to other neurodivergent people, but like my pattern recognition is out of this world. And so I always take like any personality test. I automatically am like, okay, this one is going to sort me to this. This one's going to sort me to that. This one's going to sort me to that. And maybe that's also has to do with the fact that I've studied psychology adjacent all my life, but I just have very, I don't know, like, so basically I did the test. It's like 200 and something things. And I tried to do it kind of in chunks so that I would trick my brain into not making all these connections. And I did get a very different result than I thought that I would. And not because I didn't make the right connections, but because my strategy this time worked. And the number one thing was creative. So, and that was super shocking to me in my life. However, the more I've been showing that art and the more I've been meeting other people who are creatives and listening to them and their process and all this stuff, I'm like, yeah, okay, well, I suppose my daughter said that it was not a surprise, like at all. I've always had the idea that I have to be in business in order to make a living. And it's not true. Sorry, me and my tangents going. I don't even know where I was going with that one.
Yeah, that just kind of reminded me of being in business to keep going or to make a living. Was that what you said?
Yes.
Reminded me of something I pointed out to someone earlier, or not really pointed out, but was thinking about amidst our exchange, our interaction, that anyways, there's this idea that our society sells to us that we have to rise above everybody else to be worth anything at all, which is absolutely not true. So, and I'm not saying that because I'm average. I know I'm average and I don't give a fuck. A lot of people I love are average too. And I think they're awesome. And that's the important thing to me. You know, I don't care if I don't care if they're famous or not famous, although I actually prefer them to be not famous because then I get more of them.
Yes.
Selfishly. But you know, between some family and friends and stuff like that, very few people I know are well known or have any, you know, big time awards or anything like that. And the ones I do know aren't really in my life, you know, and that's not to say anything against them or not. It just, I'm not close to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people I'm close to, are the people I'm close to, and I love them. I think they're amazing. It doesn't matter to me whether they stand out or not. I like the stuff. Julie, she's in the chats. She's a great writer. There are a lot of talented people in our chats right now, just being on Substack. They're not risen above the ranks, although I think they should be. Mediocre Mama, she puts on a really good show on Mondays and Thursdays, I think. But there's just so many great people.
It really is.
You don't have to be ultra rich or pretty or talented to be worth anything. You're worth a lot, and you're worth a lot to me. So there.
Yeah, I think that all of that is such a good point. And I agree. I know that, like, I am an exennial, so like I am dead in the middle. And so I have a lot of friends who are Gen X, but I usually identify a little bit more with millennials as far as slang and all that kind of stuff. But I also feel like in that time, or at least how I grew up and the people that I've been exposed to, like, we were given that kind of idea that we needed to rise above everyone else in order to, be famous, be on TV, be a lawyer, be a doctor, be something, right? And I think that society is worse off for it. I mean, this is really kind of not our topic, but that just really speaks to me, because I think that.
Hang on. You get garbly, and I want to know if it's just me or if it's with the chat. Is everyone hearing that okay?
I think it's also beautiful. We do forget that it takes all the jobs. It takes all the kind of people. It takes all skin colors. It takes all sexual orientations. It takes all of this to make who we are. And
okay,
cutting.
Jay, you're really garbly right now.
I don't know. Sorry.
I don't know how to fix that.
Here. Maybe my internet's being a jerk.
Yeah, something's up. I don't know if it's because I had the extra camera or what, but I turned it off since I wasn't doodling much anyways. Maybe.
Oh, I can't hear you now.
Yeah, you're garbly. And people in the chats are saying garbly too. Either that or she switched languages. Okay. Yeah, Jake, so it's the sound on your end.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. That's a lot better. How about the chat?
Yeah, I stopped being able to hear you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I know it's totally me, but like I was like, wait a minute, she's talking to me.
Okay. Can everybody hear us both clearly? I can hear Jay. Jay can hear me, right?
Better? Okay.
Can you hear us both?
My computer switched microphones for some silly reason.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes
I feel like Transformers invading us.
Yeah, right. Meet more.
All clear. All right, good to go. We're back on track. I'm sorry I had to close out the cam there.
It's okay. It's never nice when technical things happen.
Yeah. Okay, we're back on track. We're actually really close to the end of the hour here. So maybe we should, we got, 4 minutes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just want to say I really appreciate coming on and having this really honest conversation about our experiences and talking about all this.
Yeah, this has been great. And I'm just trying to track the chats. I need to. It's so hard doing this by myself. Mm-hmm. Even when I'm with other co-hosts, trying to get the chats up and go back and forth. My brain does not, I don't know. I don't have a partition brain, so.
Yeah, well, I don't know about you, but like when I start to do that, I like stop mid-sentence and I feel like it completely shifts the other way. Yeah, it can be that way.
But anyways, this has been a wonderful chat, and would love to have another one with you again sometime. And I appreciate all the people who have come in. I'd say we have pretty good attendance given that we're competing against Glenn Kirshner and Joy Reid.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining and for your wonderful questions and respectful chatting. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, let's do this again.
Awesome. So why don't you go ahead and sell yourself, tell people where they can find you.
Yes, sure. I need to practice this. I am JC Porter. I am doing creative things at Creative Body Doubling. I am a counselor and I write and do things about the disabled community on the regular. Yeah, anyway, hope to see you around.
Yeah, you too. And like most of you know me, but I'm NeuroD or NeuroDivergent Hodgepodge, which you can find on a lot of socials. Although I have to admit, I am not great at maintaining multiple socials. So it's mostly just Substack and then YouTube. Hopefully I get better at managing the other ones, but I'm also on Twitch and what is that? Blue Sky. But I'm almost never on those. I need to change that. And there's other ones. If somebody knows a source that can like help me figure out how to make these a routine to juggle, please DM me. I would love that. But in the meantime, thank you for everybody for coming, and we will see you in the next one. So, oh yeah, I got to end it on this side. Is it ending? End stream.